Imagine a world where a single voice, one person outside the traditional halls of power, could spark headlines, shape political debates, and even influence decisions at the very top of government. That's not a futuristic sci-fi scenario. It's happening right now in American politics. Today, we're diving into the story of Laura Loomer, a controversial figure whose rise to prominence in the Trump era has drawn comparisons to one of the most infamous politicians of the 20th century, Senator Joseph McCarthy. Whether you agree with her tactics or not, her growing influence tells us something big about how politics, media, and technology have completely transformed in the past decade. Laura Loomer started her career on the fringes of attention. Known for headline-grabbing stunts and bold statements, she often operated on the margins of mainstream media. Over the years, she became a digital provocateur, someone who thrived on attention, controversy, and shock value. But unlike many activists who fade into obscurity, Loomer's persistence kept her in the spotlight. In an age where social platforms can amplify voices instantly to millions, she discovered how to turn disruptive energy into influence, eventually earning a seat, informal though it may be, at the table of power. To understand why people are drawing comparisons between Loomer and Senator McCarthy, we need a quick history refresher. McCarthy rose to power in the 1950s during the Cold War, targeting alleged communists in government and society. His investigations destroyed careers, spread fear, and made McCarthyism synonymous with witch hunts. Now, in a very different context, Loomer has embraced a similar style, calling out individuals in government and public life, accusing them of disloyalty and often celebrating when they are removed or sidelined. Her motto seems clear: expose, pressure, and win. What makes Loomer unique is her position at the intersection of politics, media, and digital platforms. She isn't a government official. She doesn't run a major news outlet. Yet her posts and investigations frequently reach the highest levels of government. Reports show that she has been able to persuade President Trump and his senior team to make decisions ranging from personnel changes to shifts in policy. In other words, her digital megaphone has become a tool not just for commentary, but for action. And that's a fascinating development in how power works in the 21st century. Part of Loomer's influence comes from her persistence. She's been banned, suspended, criticized, and even arrested during protests. Yet she continues to reappear in the conversation. In a way, her career reflects a broader shift in American politics, where outsiders, dismissed as too radical just years ago, can now build loyal followings and gain real traction. Her audience of over 1 million followers on social media platforms provides both the reach and the legitimacy to keep her voice loud, no matter how controversial her message may be. But this raises an important question. What does it mean when someone outside traditional systems of accountability wields such influence? Historically, political gatekeepers, journalists, editors, party leaders played a role in filtering which stories and voices gained national attention. That system often limited extreme rhetoric, but it also concentrated control in the hands of a few. Today, those gates are wide open. If a message resonates online, it spreads. If it sparks outrage, it goes viral. And if it catches the ear of a powerful decision-maker, it can reshape real-world policy. Another striking aspect of Loomer's rise is her ability to tap into a long-standing American tradition of populist energy. Throughout U.S. history, individuals from William Jennings Bryan to George Wallace have mobilized public anger to challenge elites. Loomer operates in a digital age version of that tradition, leveraging outrage and urgency as her primary tools. Her investigations often blur the line between activism, journalism, and opposition research, which keeps audiences engaged, but also sparks debate over where her role truly belongs. For President Trump, Loomer's persistence and loyalty appear to be part of her appeal. Unlike some political advisors who have shifted allegiances, she positions herself as steadfastly devoted to his cause. This loyalty seems to have earned her a level of access that many seasoned operatives could only dream of. It also creates tension within the administration, as advisors sometimes find themselves competing with Loomer's reports and recommendations. In many ways, she embodies the decentralized, chaotic nature of Trump's political world, where influence can come from unexpected places. This dynamic raises real implications for governance. When decisions about personnel or policy are shaped by public posts and viral campaigns, it changes how officials think about their own roles. In such an environment, the past, whether tweets, comments, or affiliations, becomes ammunition. Careers can be built or broken, not in congressional hearings or courtrooms, but in online feeds. It's a dramatic shift from older models of political accountability, where deliberation and due process played a larger role. Critics argue that this style of politics creates instability. When officials fear sudden exposure or online campaigns against them, they may act more cautiously or defensively, prioritizing loyalty over expertise. On the other hand, supporters say it ensures accountability, that those who hold power are constantly reminded that someone is watching, regardless of where you stand. It's clear that Loomer has tapped into a formula that resonates with parts of the American public, and her influence is undeniable. The Loomer story also highlights the evolving relationship between politics and the media. In earlier decades, politicians depended on newspapers and television networks to communicate their message. Today, figures like Loomer demonstrate how individuals can bypass traditional outlets entirely, speaking directly to followers, and sometimes even shaping what mainstream outlets cover. This shift weakens old institutions, but empowers individuals willing to push boundaries, creating a more fragmented and unpredictable information environment. It's worth asking what this means for the future of American politics. If power can be influenced by viral campaigns, if policy can be shifted by online posts, then the skills of tomorrow's political players will look very different. Investigative research, social media strategy, and relentless persistence may matter just as much, if not more, than formal credentials or political experience. Loomer's trajectory shows how quickly these new skills can turn someone from an outsider into a central figure in national debates. At the same time, her rise forces us to confront the ethical questions that come with blurred boundaries. When one person operates simultaneously as activist, influencer, and consultant, who are they accountable to? How do we separate fact from spin, research from rumor, advocacy from journalism? These aren't just questions about Loomer. They're about the entire ecosystem of modern politics, where digital platforms have dismantled many of the old lines that once separated roles and responsibilities. The comparison to Joseph McCarthy isn't perfect, but it's telling. McCarthy became a symbol of how fear and accusation could be weaponized in politics. Loomer, in a different context, shows how outrage and digital activism can be just as powerful. Both cases remind us that influence doesn't always come from holding office. Sometimes it comes from shaping the narrative, controlling attention, and pushing leaders to act in response. Whether that influence is positive or dangerous is something history will continue to debate. So where does that leave us? Laura Loomer's story isn't just about one person. It's about how technology, media, and politics have collided to create a new kind of power broker. It's about how loyalty, persistence, and timing can open doors once closed to outsiders. And it's about how, in today's America, the boundaries of influence are constantly being redrawn. For citizens, journalists, and leaders alike, the challenge is clear. Stay informed, question what you see, and recognize that the future of political power may look nothing like the past.